by the music. I didn't want to kill it that fast. Good morning, everybody. Keith Engel here for TGI Sports Talks College. Oh, not college football huddle. It's a Sunday stream of consciousness. I don't even know what day it is. Welcome to the Sunday stream of consciousness. I'm Keith Engel, your host. Want to welcome everybody watching on TGI Sports Talk. We'll start with it on Facebook or YouTube on Let's Talk Sports. Oh, by the way, also on Twitter. I did go to the Twitter feed live today because now you can comment on Twitter. So if anybody's watching on Twitter, please comment so I know what's going on and I know if we can get those and I know what they look like. But you can watch us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Let's Talk Sports on their YouTube channel. Also, Northeast Streaming Sports, where on Sundays you can certainly watch us on Facebook and YouTube, and even the Roku channel. Oh, excuse me. That Northeast Streaming Sports has. Just download that app for free on the Roku channel, and you can watch the show on the big screen. Can't comment. Got to do that on Facebook or YouTube or now Twitter. Again, you can comment on Twitter now if you watch there. Please, if anybody's watching the show, please comment on Twitter so I know what it looks like. Also, a shout out to Ralph Williams over there at RW Media, specifically the Sports Corner that he does with Smoking Jim Frazier every Tuesday at 5 o'clock on WVP. Boy, that's not easy to say. 12:30 a.m. and 99.3 FM. Ralph does some great stuff, and hopefully in the new year we'll do some stuff with Ralph as well. And Jim Biringer will join us at some point today, hopefully. I sent him the link. I have not heard back from him since, but hopefully we'll have Jim talk a little bit of NHL at some point today. Again, similar to last week, we'll kind of jump around the board. We'll talk some NFL. I'd like to talk about a lot of stuff. Steelers with a nice win yesterday. We can talk about Mike Tomlin's future. It's very cloudy, as is Bill Belichick's future. We can get into that if you like. Deflategate 2. Who knew? The NFL's in charge of the footballs, by the way, for anybody who wants to start on any kind of, and they started on me a little bit at the end of Mac and Jack. Didn't really have a chance to respond. Patriots and home teams have nothing to do with footballs anymore because it's very important that the air stay in them. But cold air lets the air out of footballs. Who knew? We can talk about that if you like, more about the standings and there's other news around the league we can talk about. Continued bad play. College football, we can talk about any of the games that went on. The transfer portal's crazy. FSU suing the ACC. Pac-12 has made some decisions about sports other than football and where they'll play while they try to rebuild the Pac-12, and they've also come to an agreement with the rest of the teams that are leaving. MLB, we've covered a lot of this stuff, but I know Drew might be back today. Welcome back if you are, Drew. The Dodgers, by the way, Dodgers spending $1 billion or 1.1 billion. I can't do math very well, as you know. On 2 players with a total of 38 major league wins and 660 hits in the major leagues. Just saying. They could talk about the Yankees and Mets, whatever you want to talk about there. Ryan Miner, rest in peace to Ryan Miner. Ryan Miner was a decent ball player in major leagues, and his real claim to fame is he was the guy at third base when the Orioles finally sat Cal Ripken down after, you tell me the number of games, 2,190. I don't remember. I know it broke the record. I don't remember exactly how many he played afterwards. Some tweaks to the rules again. NBA, the Pistons lose their 26th straight. Lakers celebrating and claiming this great victory for winning the in-season tournament and then losing 4 in a row. And as I said, we'll have Jim Biringer on at some point as well. We'll talk some hockey stuff as well. And I want you guys, as you do on every Sunday, to contribute with your comments, your topics and hot takes. Throw them at me. We'll talk about them all. Blessed Sunday and happy, I should have said that at the top as well. Happy Christmas Eve day. Merry Christmas Eve day. If you celebrate that season, if you don't, whatever holiday you do celebrate, please enjoy it and be safe with your friends and family. So good morning, Alec, across the pond. Haven't seen you in a few weeks. Alec, good to have you with us. Like your 49ers today. They're going to be one of my bets in a cigar box, and I just picked them on the Mac and Jack Show. Bill Pulver, Merry Christmas to you, Bill, and the family. See you in Florida, I think. I don't know if you're back for the holiday or not, but it's going to be kind of balmy here for Christmas, so we might as well be in Florida ourselves. But Merry Christmas to you and your kids and your lovely wife, and family, extended family as well. Merry Christmas to Kenny Gifford up on the mountain. Had some snow last night. We were supposed to get snow, like an inch, or dusting, or up to an inch maybe, or something like that. Haven't gotten anything, just rain here. I know some other areas around us have gotten some snow. The sports world's going nuts. Please feel free to elaborate, Kenny, because we can touch on that, but I don't disagree. There's a lot going on. You always listen. I can believe both things. By the way, I do say, and I totally believe it. I'm not blaming the players. Somebody's worth giving. If somebody thinks I'm worth, 70% of $1 billion, which is $700 million. Look at me. Yeah, I'm going to take it, but it doesn't mean the teams ought to be paying it. Both things can be true. I can tell you that you're worth what somebody's willing to pay you, and also say, maybe they'll think about what they're doing. They're paying $1 billion to two guys who really, and Ohtani's great. The 38 major league wins, guys. I'm not saying he's not worth the money because somebody wants to pay him. I don't know that it's a great business practice. Again, two different things, and I do think both things can be true. Waldo has returned. Yes, Billy's in, I think you're still in Florida, aren't you, Bill? I'm glad to see you bought some bathing trunks while you were there. That first shot of you in your jeans laying out in the sun was a little, I'm not sure what it was. Alec, not looking forward to that game at 1:15 a.m. in the morning after a full Christmas day. That is a late game, right? Tomorrow night. Be a good game. I like the 49ers. The line has moved a lot. When Mac put his line out earlier in the week, I think it was 4. And now I think it's up to 6. It might be up to 6.5, or maybe even a touchdown. I'm not sure. Got to take a look at it. Hey, Drew, freaking Dodgers, pitchers on long-term contracts. Good luck. Well, there's a couple things. I agree 100%, by the way. Again, I can tell you it's crazy to give pitchers, and Ohtani's not just a pitcher, right? He's a hitter. And at some point, he will be a hitter. So when he gets pitch, maybe he never pitches again. We don't know. I doubt they gave him $700 million to be a DH. But Yamamoto gets 6, I think it was 6 years. But it's over $30 million a year. 10 years, maybe it was 10 years at $30 million, right? Because it comes to $300 million, right? To get to $1 billion. So again, I don't disagree. Aaron Nola at 31 years old gets 7 years, and look at, you know what you're getting. And again, to me, it's bad business. But again, Kenny, to your point, I do say, and I will continue to say, you're worth what somebody's willing to pay you. So it's not about worth; it's about making smart business decisions. And by the way, welcome back, Drew. Drew has just come back from a long trip away, so I hope you had a great time. And wish you and the family Merry Christmas. Lots in East Coast. Orlando is where Billy is hiding out right now. Bill Pulveris in the Spanish area wants more margaritas. Bowl games and special teams. Kickers missed 30-yard field goals, and the kicker ran a fake field goal for a touchdown. At least that was exciting. These bowl games have been atrocious for the most part. I mean, these early bowl games, you need to do away with these. I don't need to see a bunch of, and I bet 3 games. I'm sorry. No, I bet 4 of these games. Sorry. 3 out of 4 I hit. I lost on Utah last night. I bet Utah against Northwestern. Northwestern's such a great story. I mean, I couldn't get my head there. My heart said, "Oh, give him a shot," but my money and my head said, eh. So anyway, 3 out of 4. I found a couple of decent games I thought to pick. But the games are not watchable, man. One of my bet was Syracuse and South Florida under. Thank God Syracuse didn't show up at all. Special teams. Again, you're going to get what you pay for here. The transfer portal has affected this, and the kid who played, I'm trying to think of the quarterback's name. for Northwestern last night. It's skipping me. Kudos to him. He's in the transfer portal, and he's actually playing and not deserting his teammates, which I talked about a lot yesterday in the college football huddle. That's the biggest problem. I don't have a problem again. If the rule's there and you can transfer, great. But don't leave you're opting out for the NFL draft, whatever it might be. Don't leave your teammates high and dry. And kickers miss 30-yard field goals in the NFL too. Watch my kicker. Jesus. He's freaking horrendous. They are cute. I'm not sure where that comes from. Drew, best policy has always been to grow your own players, particularly pitchers, Rays, Guardians, Braves. Always live by this credo. Yeah, not a lot of World Series victories in there, though, Drew. I mean, consistently good teams, other than the Braves winning one a couple years ago. Again, it develops really good teams. None of the teams you mentioned have really won, except for one of them 3 years ago. It makes you competitive and keeps you competitive, I guess. But I don't disagree with the premise. I've said before, I want to see the Yankees develop young players, and then you cannot stay out of free agency if you want to be competitive. Especially if you're a big market team, you've got to spend money to make money. Speaking of which, the Mets got hit with a record luxury tax of over $100 million here the other day. And what do they got to show for it? And Met fans, I touched on this in Are You Serious? And you guys can comment if you like. Met fans, you need to be quiet a little bit. You don't have as much right to be up in arms about the lack of success and World Series victories for your team, right? You make it sound like you have some preordained right to expect World Series championships, on a regular basis. You've been to like 4 World Series and won 2 in 60 years. And I talked about, you're not a Yankee fan. You want a legacy. You want to be a legendary team and be angry like I am. And maybe I'm being, maybe I'm full of myself here, but my team has won 27 world championships. And if you want to go back just to when the Mets won their first one, the Yankees have been in 11 and won 7. Well, the Mets have been, I think, in 4 and won 2. This is not some legendary baseball franchise that has winning history. So just want to throw that out there. Another possible talking point. Who lost on Kansas City not kicking a field goal? A lot of people. Tens of millions of dollars changed hands on that play. And by the way, it was the right play. There was no need to kick a field goal there. So again, there'll be those who think the NFL is scripted. It is not. If I thought it was, I might as well be watching the WWE. It's not scripted, and people need to stop. When you make smart football decisions, because if they kick a football there, they have a chance to have it run back for a touchdown. Anything can happen in that situation. So they're smart not to kick a field goal. And I didn't bet Kansas City because we know who they played. And Drew, by the way, how ironic is it? While you were away, you may have a comment up here for all I know, and I'll keep going to the comments here. And we will have Jim Biringer join us at some point, which will interrupt our flow a little bit. We'll talk some hockey and college football then, or whatever. 2 weeks ago, the first week you were gone, I picked the Patriots every week. Drew rides me about it because I will never pick against my team, ever, 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 ever. I will never give myself any reason to pick against my team. Fanatic. The word fan comes the word fanatic. I'm a fanatic. People who bet against their own team should not call themselves a fan. The same. Anyway, we disagree on that fact. But how ironic is it, Drew? I don't even get my pick in when they do actually win a game against Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago. I was out in Utah, lost track of the time difference, and never got my pick in. Billy Paul, the portal and NL changed NCAA terribly. Listen, it's changed it. Has it changed it terribly? You know, I was very, very vocal on how this would ruin college football. And I don't think it's a great thing, right? There's like 1,500, maybe probably more, players in the portal right now, like 100 quarterbacks. But I'm loosened my stance on the transfer portal specifically. The NIL is a different topic, but it's related because kids go in this portal for NIL money. But it's related because how am I supposed to, and I've loosened my stance on the transfer portal because how am I supposed to get on kids for not being loyal to the school that brought them in when colleges aren't loyal even a little bit? Number one, and this goes back, and this isn't even new from when my stance was very harsh. You know, they can pull a scholarship at any point in time. Two, coaches aren't loyal to the kids that they bring into a program, not even a little bit. They aren't loyal to the program itself. They aren't loyal to the fans. They aren't loyal to anybody. They come and go like the wind. And now we've seen over the last, it's going back to 2012, but we've seen a plethora of it in the last 3 years. Universities are not loyal to anybody. They're not loyal to the kids that come to school there. They're not loyal to their fan base. They're not loyal to the league that they belong to and the teams that they've played with for 100 years. So if none of these people that should be role models for the kids are going to act like reasonable adults and only care about chasing the dollar, how do I freaking get on the kids? Just saying. A lot of kids lived up to their commitments and played. I like it, Rick. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of that in the past, right? That they get in the portal or they're going to leave for the draft and they honor their commitment. And we talked about it yesterday, right? There's a lot of things tied up in that. You go to war with guys for whether it's 1 year or whether it's, as Kenny says, unfortunately, 6 or 7 years. And then you opt out of maybe the biggest game that you get to play in. Not that these games have been all that big, but still, some of these schools don't get the bowl games right and left. So, I agree. I mean, I'm really happy. And back it up to the portal a second here. So when I was reviewing some of it, I came up with a guy from Army, a quarterback. I can't remember his name now. Robinson, I believe. Larry Robinson, maybe. Who's in the transfer portal. How can that be? How does a guy transfer from Army? Is he going to the Navy or the Air Force? Let me get through a couple of these. Like Jim Biringer, I see in the green room in his car, so we'll bring him here in just a second. Let me get through a couple of these. Oregon isn't in the playoffs because they didn't kick field goals. Again, I disagree. Coach made the right decisions. Play to win your game. Grow your own. High and Dry, Def Leppard's best album. I'm not sure where that comes from. Drew says free agency should be supplemental homegrown talent, not the other way around. I agree. We agree on that. And the last comment before I bring Jim in, Carlos has been eliminated from the TGI Fantasy League consolation round. So we'll give him a participation trophy because I think that kind of fits Carlos's agenda. All right, let's bring in the great Jim Biringer. Good morning, Jim. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Merry Christmas Eve to you.
Merry Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas to everybody. Holidays. How's everybody doing?
Hopefully everybody's done. They're a little wound up today. I'm trying to wind them down just a little bit. But
yeah, I can see they're a little wound up.
I'm a little wound up myself, so I got to find I'm trying to find your banner here. So tell us what we haven't had you on in a couple of weeks, Jim, but lots going on, obviously in college football we can talk about, and I want you to get us up to date on some hockey stuff because we haven't talked about hockey, I don't think, in like a month now. So
yeah, it's been a while since we talked some hockey.
You tell me where you want to start, and we'll kind of we'll play off that.
We'll start. We'll go around the National Hockey League first.
All right,
let's start in NHL. Look, big topic of conversation last couple of weeks have been coaches. We've seen 4 coaches already fired this season, relieved of their duties. They were fired. But I will say this, you look at it, a lot of the situations are on the players. Look, you go to Edmonton, they make the coaching change with Jay Woodcroft. Chris Knobloch comes in, they rattle off 8 in a row, they get that coach bump. But again, it was on the players. They needed to play better defensively, get better goaltending. They're starting to turn it around, but they still got a long ways to go. Minnesota, the same thing. Players, they just couldn't get the system, and they figured, the problem is you can't make the trades that you would normally make in the National Hockey League because of this tight salary cap. So you can't trade the players or fire the players, so you got to fire the coaches. And you see in Minnesota, they're back at up and down, but Kirill Kaprizov is starting to turn things around. He's getting on a heater. He's got 3 goals in his last 3 games. John Hines is in there, replaced Dean Evison. So they're playing a lot better. They're getting the goaltending. Again, it comes down to the teams that are struggling, like the Carolinas, like the Ottawas, the New Jerseys, the teams that made the coaching changes, goaltending and defense, and your star players not showing up. And if that happens, well, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. But when your guys show up and you get everything, you're going to be atop the standings. St. Louis makes the coaching change. That one, yeah, again, to me, I'm not sure why they would want to make that move. I thought Berube was fine. But again, Doug Armstrong put expectations on his team and talked from both sides of his mouth. Oh, we can finish 3rd in the Central. We're not really a playoff team. So it makes the move there. They looked good against Chicago Saturday night before the break. Rattled up 5 straight goals in the 3rd period. Good to see Jordan Kyrou getting back on the good side of the fans. He didn't make any comments about his coach. That when he was let go, there was some beef there, and fans took it. They're like, "Oh, no comments, not is making a comment." So they booed him the first game back, and now he's back on their good graces. But it's been a good season. What's interesting to me is I look at the standings in the Metro Division, and I say to myself, "Man, all these teams are so close, and we really don't know what the standings are going to be at the end."
Well, I was going to bring that up. You'd mentioned your Devils struggling, and yeah, they're struggling, but they're over 500 and playing better hockey, I think, than they did in the beginning of the season. The Metro and the Coastal, I believe, both are very deep as far as winning records. Anyway, does it speak more about the strength of those divisions or the weakness of the others?
I mean, look, it's a weird year, right? Like, I don't know how many people figured Washington and Philadelphia were going to be hanging on as long as they would. New Jersey struggled a little bit. Carolina struggled a little bit. The Rangers are where pretty much everybody expected them to be. Jonathan Quick outside the other night has been spectacular for the Rangers this season. You look at it, the Atlantic, Boston is where pretty people expected them to be, though they're struggling a little bit right now just because of injuries and their depth down the middle is being tested. And I think that's something Boston's going to look after. Probably go after Elias Lindholm. They'll go for center, I think.
Yeah.
At the deadline. But again, Colorado's a team that's looking for second line center help. So the price for Calgary, because Calgary's got the players right now, right? Calgary's got Tanev, Noah Hannafin, and Elias Lindholm. So there's going to be a bidding war there. But you look at it, right? New Jersey's right there. And again, you point to the Devils and you say, well, we knew what their issue was in the offseason. It was a missed opportunity not to get a goaltender. You knew it was going to be a problem. I think they didn't think that defensively that this was going to be an issue because teams and players probably should have been buying in and not reading into the hype and just the little things in your own defensive zone that can hurt you. They continue to hurt the Devils and plague the Devils. And like losses to San Jose, Arizona, Columbus, teams like that hurts you in the standings. You look at it, you lose 2 games to Washington. That's 4 points right now. I mean, I know they're sitting second in the wild card, but again, this team should be a lot better than it is. There were some personnel changes in the offseason. But again, you're not firing a coach that has an extension in place for next year. It's not on the coach. The issues run deeper. It's on the players to make it work. Similar to what we're seeing in Buffalo and Pittsburgh, where we got to change the coach. Well, it's sometimes changing a coach isn't going to work when your problems run deeper than just coaching.
Right. You talked about, I mean, right now, I mean, we're not quite at halfway point. We're going to approach it here in a couple of weeks. Who's your favorites right now? I mean, two parts, I guess. So who are your favorites right now on both sides? And as the Bruins have stumbled a little bit, just like you talked about, they kind of got off to the same start they got off to last year, not counting the playoffs, where I guess it matters. Who are your favorites, and will we have a chance? Again, we're 30 plus years into a Canadian team winning the Stanley Cup, and I see that there's probably three contenders, I would say, in Vancouver, Winnipeg, and Toronto. Is there anybody else I'm not thinking of, and do one of them have a chance? Where do you stand as far as right now, who your favorites would be?
I mean, I think I got to go out west right now for my favorites. I mean, you could throw the New York Rangers in there as a Stanley Cup favorite, the way they're playing. They're playing really well. They've done it a lot this year without guys like Hito, Kakko in the lineup. Adam Fox at times has not been in the lineup. Shesterkin has struggled between the pipes, and Quick has really picked them up, getting a lot of scoring from Panarin, Zibanejad, Kreider, the usual suspects. You go out west, Vegas is always there. You have Vancouver, LA, I look in that division, but somebody's getting eliminated early, which is a shame because we need to go back to 1 through 8. Then I look at the Central. Do I trust Colorado's goaltending and defense? Can they address their second-line center position? If they can, okay, maybe they have a chance to rattle. The team I'm watching really is Winnipeg.
I was going to ask you just that question. Yes.
I was really impressed with Winnipeg, right? Like Kevin Cheveldayoff built this team differently this year. Cheap plug, new article up on FullPressHockey.com, the exact title of it. But you look at it, right? He made a hockey trade to get Pierre-Luc Dubois out of there. You bring in Gabe Vilardi, Rasmus Kupari, Alex Iafallo. That money that you might have paid Dubois has been allocated through 3 assets who are all producing. And there's no Kyle Connor in the lineup right now, and they're still winning. Connor Hellebuck's there. Mark Scheifele's there. Nino Niederreiter re-upped. So you're looking and you're saying this team is confident. There's a commitment here. They're buying into what Rick Bowness is saying. That starts with Adam Lowry, the captain, the way they're playing. They can withstand these injuries now. So Winnipeg's a team. Let's see if they can sustain it, because last year they started this good and they barely hung on to make the playoffs and then, faded against the Vegas Golden Knights. So Winnipeg's a team to watch. I think it's going to be different this year just because they're buying in and they've gone through so much adversity so far.
Very good. Let me get to a couple of comments here. The hockey comments, anyway. I may skip one of these that are college football related. If Jim has time, I would love to ask him about his opinion on neck collars after what happened in
the neck guards. Yeah. So starting Tuesday, the World Junior Championship begins over in Sweden. All the players, IIHF mandated neck guards throughout all levels of hockey. So when the World Champions come around, everybody's wearing neck guards. Safety, precaution. I've seen a lot of guys in the NHL wearing the neck guards. I like it. Safety, more protection. A couple of games I saw this year, I've seen up close and personal guys wearing neck guards. So I like it. It's smart. Just be safe. Don't be dumb.
Anthony Price, I see your comment, and I'll get to it in a second. Good morning to you, Anthony, just because it's not necessarily hockey related. Billy's talking about...
stop.
Don't you guys just want to fire my ass up today? I'm telling you right now. Ringmaster, Billy wants to know if you're in a patrol car.
No, I'm sitting outside the gym.
And Rick, to your back to your trip about the Hall of Fame ceremony, because Rick, I don't think was probably with us when you joined us that day. How cool was it to meet your heroes at the Hall of Fame ceremony, and did you ask for any autographs?
Second part of the question is a big no-no when you're in the media. You can't do that.
Right.
Unless they want to give it to you. Mm-hmm. You don't ask.
Right.
Hall of Fame was awesome. Saw a lot of my heroes. Saw a lot of guys I grew up watching. Got to talk to a lot of the guys I grew up watching. So, Joe Sakic, Mike Modano, Neuendijk, guys like that. Scotty Bowman was there. What a great trip. Phenomenal trip. Picking the brains of some of the hockey legends out there. So that was really cool to see.
Kenny, looking for an NHL team. He'd probably fit as a goon, probably in the NHL. Bring back the old Broad Street Bullies, and he'd fit perfect
He
there.
fit in Philadelphia.
Rick did notice you were in the front seat. Billy, that's why I kind of was going to Winnipeg for you today, Billy, since you were here. And Winnipeg is playing well.
They are playing well. And look, Rick Bowness steps away for a little bit, right? Because he has to deal with a family issue. Scott Arniel comes in there. Winnipeg could have said, hey, we're not going to play for this guy. What do? They rally around the coach. They rally around Scott Arniel. That's why they're in contention for Central Division. Now, the thing part is you mentioned other teams, right, that could have a shot at this thing. Remember, Edmonton was a Stanley Cup contender, a favorite. Again, I look at the odds and I say, and I texted a couple guys I know in Vegas, and I was like, you guys should have been favorites to repeat. I don't care what anybody says, because I know hockey. And if Edmonton somehow gets in and their goaltending and defense get figured out, which they're starting to figure out, and they get in as an 8 seed, I don't think anybody wants to play the Oilers with McDavid and Draisaitl.
Good point. Good point. What's Al got here? Jim on Christmas Eve. All credit to you, Jim. I just think it's making the rest of us old fat guys look bad, but that's fine. He can do what he wants. It's all good. Let's switch gears a little bit. Unless you, what else? You got anything else you want to bring up on hockey that we haven't talked about? I mean,
the All-Star Game is going to be in Toronto this year. They're changing it up a little bit. The guys are going to be announced, but there's going to be like 12 players participating in it. They're going old school with it. There's going to be a player draft. It's going to be the skills competition on Friday, game on Saturday. Should be fun in Toronto. Before there's going to be a couple-year hiatus because next year there's going to be like a 4 nations mini tournament with Sweden, Finland, United States, and Canada. Which is the prelude to the 2026 Olympics, which the NHL is going back to. Been on this for a while now. The NHL was returning to Italy. It didn't make sense to go to Pyeongchang and Beijing. It just didn't make sense. But they're ironing out the details, the logos, the money, the insurance, all that stuff, where the game's going to be played. Like that little nug out of the Board of Governors, well, the arena might not be played. It's like, dude, really? You're already coming up with excuses that you don't want to go. And I get it. Like, I get it from a business side. They don't benefit from it. They have all the risk. It hurts the season. I get it. They've talked about maybe playing in Turin, where the 06 Olympics were, or if they can't do that, they may play the hockey part in Switzerland, which for me would be great because I deserve my trip back to Switzerland after COVID and the IHF World Championships were canceled. So that would be great for me. But, again, we're going to get some international hockey back.
What are we calling this tournament? What are we calling this tournament? Is it a world? What are we calling this tournament? This international tournament, which I'm looking forward to. I think that'll be kind of cool. What are we calling it? Do they have a name for it?
Next year, I call it a 4 Nations Cup because that's what it is. The women's hockey had it. They called it 4 Nations Cup. They only took those nations. It's not a true World Cup of hockey because you're missing like half the teams from the best international hockey players. Oh, and by the way, like Russia's not playing, so that alone, like same with the World Juniors, right? Like it's a good tournament, it's a fun tournament right now, but you're missing the best. It's not a true best on best tournament because the best players from Russia aren't there, and I understand circumstances in the world right now, but still, it's not a true best on best tournament.
Will we get the best players in this? You think in mid-season? Stopping?
Yeah, you'll get the best players. You'll get Crosby, McDavid. You'll get all those guys playing together.
Cool.
So it'll be good, and I'm looking forward to 2026 when Team USA has a really, really stacked lineup and probably their best chance to win a gold medal since 1980.
I can't see that emoji. I'm guessing it's the Stars there with CA.
Yeah, Stars playing well right now. I mean, look, let's talk about what they did Saturday night real quick, right? Saturday afternoon in Nashville, Matt Duchene returns home. Craig Smith there too. 2 goals in 15 seconds in the final 15 seconds of the third period to win the game.
That's a great.
That's crazy, right? Nashville kind of sat back a little bit.
Yeah.
Nashville sat back a little bit, So, but still, I mean, good on the Stars for not to say, hey, we could bag it, go to overtime, whatever. They know they want 2 points, go home and say, hey, we give you no points. So I've been impressed with Nashville this year. I mean, they've been playing well. Andrew Brunette, he left the Devils staff. So you can see that. they got the right guys in the room. I saw a poll the other day, or yesterday, I think it was, about, oh, did the Predators make the right move buying out Matt Duchene? Yeah, they did, because let's be honest, Barry Trotz want character guys in the room. I'm not saying Matt Duchene isn't a character guy, but he's not a Barry Trotz guy. So, that's the way it is.
You got to say Barry Trotz. I know Carl's going to show up now. You said Barry
Well,
Trotz.
he's the GM. He's the GM. Andrew Burnett's the coach. But again, they're putting a good team together in Asheville. Look, I got to give a shout out to the Islanders right now, too, because they're playing well.
We're good.
Goaltending is, they have the best goalie duo with Sorokin and Varlamov in between the pipes. Noah Dobson's turning into a star on defense. They're doing it without guys in the lineup. Bo Horvat, Matt Barzell are starting to pick their things up. Kyle Palmieri scoring goals. They're scoring and they're playing good defense. It's a recipe for success, and the Islanders are hanging around right now. Let's see if they can sustain it.
And Rick wants to know if you've ever been to the outdoor game and how cool or cold is it? Cool, I guess. How cool.
I've been to a couple outdoor games. Went to one in Calgary, Heritage Classic against the Canadiens. That was really cold. I've been to the Winter Classic in Michigan. Loved it. It was awesome. Fun time. Best experience I had at an outdoor game. It was really fun. 100,000 people. Detroit, Toronto was great. I went to the Stadium Series, Devils Rangers. It's fun. It was cool. It was Devils Rangers. And obviously I'll be going this year, Stadium Series, Devils and Flyers, and probably the Ranger Islander game. Look, I'll be watching the Winter Classic. It's going to be cool. Seattle, Vegas.
Yeah.
They're cool. They're a cool experience. You should go. They are what they are. They're for the town. If it doesn't appeal to you, fine. If it does, great. But the outdoor games are fun. They're a fun time. And look, it's for this city that hosts it. That's what it's all about. And it's going to bring a lot of revenue in for New Jersey.
Yeah, they got to keep them in cold weather sites, though. Every time they go to someplace that isn't a cold weather site, even a cold weather site, I guess sometimes we've had some issues. But you got to be in a cold weather site. What's the point of having an outdoor game if you're going to be someplace where it's not cold and snowing? I want to see snow, right?
Well, then, I guess the big house was for you then.
Well, yes, loved it. Loved that one, actually. So, so to switch gears a little bit, I don't have a lot of thoughts on college football because the bowl games have been pretty much a bunch of 6-6 teams playing. A couple of decent games. Kudos to James Madison for getting in. Air Force for winning that game. It was a fun game yesterday in a way, but most of these games are just awful. Syracuse doesn't even put up an effort the other night, losing 45-0 to South Florida. Kudos again to Northwestern. Again, I've said this throughout the season. What a great job by Coach Braun, who got the full-time gig there, and they win last night against Utah. It's just it's tough. These games are tough, especially if you're trying to bet them, because you don't know who really wants to be there and be playing, right? So later on, it gets a little bit easier, but these games are tough to watch.
These games are, A, they're tough to watch. B, they get a little boring. C, we don't know who's playing in them. D, the transfer portal ruins all of it. All the coaches leave, all the players leave, so they really don't have anybody.
There have been a few kids who have honored their commitment, gone into the portal. The quarterback for Northwestern last night being one of them, who have stayed. They've gone into the portal, and they've stayed to play their bowl game. So kudos to them, because otherwise you're just quitting on your teammates, and which is, again, I said this the other day. If I'm an NFL scout, or I shouldn't say scout, but decision maker, personnel guy, I'm looking at the guy's character. If he's going to play X amount of years and go to war with these guys for all these games, and then he's going to opt out to protect himself before the draft, I don't know if I want him on my roster.
No, I agree with that. Look, I'm looking at these guys that want to commit, that are, you've made a commitment, and I get it. Coaches coach just the regular season. Players play just the regular season. I get that's the world we're living in. But if you if you have a commitment to that school, you ride it out through the bowl game. If the bowl games are supposed to be a reward for everybody, not, oh, well, it's just at the end of the season. No. Again, if we change the calendar and we go back, National Signing Day, we had all that stuff at the end of February. The portal opens after the national championship game. Coaches can leave after all that stuff. A lot of this stuff will be fixed.
Alec tells us not to be grumpy about these games, that they're for players to put get tape, which I understand. I get it.
Some of them are, some of them are not.
Yeah, look at most. That's not why they put these games together, though, Alec. And again, there is some benefit to the teams. They get to practice longer while they're still, haven't played their bowl game. Players do get some stuff on tape, but that isn't what the NCAA is thinking about here. ESPN says,
of the tape,
money, give me programming.
If you're scouting, most of your tape is already done.
Yeah.
Like the 13-game, 12-game regular season you play, that's the tape they're looking at. They're not looking at the bowl game tape.
Yeah, I doubt anybody's turned around their NFL fate by how they played in a Gasparilla Bowl or something. I'm just... Alec, I get what you're saying, but I just can't believe that that's really a big deal. By the way, I want to get back here. And Anthony, I hope you're still with us. He put up while we were talking about hockey. And Anthony has broken news on this show like 3 weeks in a row. And I've said, I didn't hear any Harbaugh news today other than the NCAA had let Michigan know about what sanctions, or not what sanctions, but what the charges were. Not about stealing signs, guys. Don't get excited. Read the whole article. It's about this thing that happened in the COVID, the COVID charges,
the recruiting violations,
the dead period, right? Violations where he bought a kid a hamburger, and they already self-imposed sanctions on themselves, but now the NCAA is still trying to keep Michigan in the news. See, I'm telling you, this is why I think there's this witch hunt against Harbaugh. I'm sorry. You like him, you don't like him. He's a polarizing figure. He's a good football coach.
The Harbaugh news, but the thing is, the Harbaugh news is nothing new because, I
don't know. This could be other news because he's broken news for us the next couple Sundays. So I want to see where he goes. So again, your thoughts on the whole situation? I think it's more just chasing down a guy they want.
I think it's more chasing down things. From what I know, they're still investigating the other stuff, and from my understanding with this is there's going to be a lot more coming down the road with that other stuff.
Against Michigan?
Against Michigan.
Maybe that's what he's talking about here. I'm just trying to see if there's any news I missed this morning.
Because I know the
contract offer is the only news I see here. Again, with all that's going on, supposedly Michigan's got a 5-year, $11 million a year contract out there for him.
I don't think he's staying.
I think he's going to the NFL myself.
I think he's going to the NFL, and I think he's going to Los Angeles, and I think he's going to coach Justin Herbert.
Interesting. That'd be an interesting pairing. And by the way, a lot of parallels here to the Pete Carroll situation, right? Get out in front of the posse and
right, exactly. Look, he was close last year. I just think that with the rift between him and the AD, and the fact that a lot of this stuff is kind of fabricated. Again, you go back to the calendar, the recruiting calendar, the dead calendar. There used to be a lot of dead time in college football. Once the regular season was over, it's like the transfer portal opens. No, we should have that dead period again. We need that. Keep guys in line.
Yeah, there's another report here that says that the Jim Harbaugh $125 million contract offer prevents NFL head coaching jobs for 2024. Well, if he's going to sign an extension, he's not going to take an NFL job, but I guess he would agree. Well, of course he would. He wouldn't. It's silly. Next year's 2024, is it not? So the 10-year contract, $125 million contract, which is now supposedly being reported on the table, contains a clause that he would not entertain or accept an NFL job for the 2024 season. Well, if he's going to sign this contract, of course he's not going to. What kind of clause is that?
I still think he's gone. Look, again, there's a lot of information out there. There's some things that I would tell, if he does come back, I heard the NCAA is going to throw the book at him.
Yeah. Anthony sent me a Facebook message. I don't know. Let's see what that is real quick. Real quick, while I'm talking about that, how about your thoughts on the FSU suing the ACC for the $130 million, about the $130 million.
Hey, you signed a contract. You needed to read the clause. You knew what was in the clause.
Right. And I think this is all
and
now
this
because
is,
they got good.
Look, it goes back to leadership, right? It goes back to Florida State could have been in a playoff. All the ACC had to do was vote yes. and I'm coming around with Paul Feinbaum and what they said. I don't think the committee said, "Oh, we're going to hold this against Florida State," but the 12-team playoff could have started last year. But they banded together with the Pac-12 and the Big 12, and they said, "No, we can't have this." Well, this is why you're on the outside looking in.
Yeah, Anthony, it looks like what you sent me is the Bleacher Report article that I just found. It alluded to that $125 million offer. Interesting. Alec talks about
real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
You really think he was going to, I'm not going to, I mean, anything is possible, but the only way he stays for 10 years, $125 million, is if he has no plans of going back to the NFL.
Well, by the way, if he signs that contract, he's not getting $12 million a year to coach in the NFL. I can tell you that right now.
Right.
And he
won't honor the 10 years.
Yeah. Either. I keep telling people about college coaches jumping to the pros. The money's in the college right now for coaches. You're going to see guys going the other way, I think. So, hey, but for money, if it's all about money.
No, he won't go to the Raiders. He was close with the Raiders last year. He's not going to go to the Raiders.
A lot of rumors about John Gruden going back to the Raiders, that Mark Davis is trying to work this thing out.
Well, because you know what? I think the NFL screwed up on that.
Contracts aren't worth the paper they're written on. Well, we know that, right?
We know
but if you put a clause in there, you can buy your way out of any clause too. So they're worth something, because you do have to buy your way out of them. But everybody's got an out. So yes, I agree. And Anthony says, talk about the playoff. Once they expand, every NCAA football team will have a bowl game now. And not everyone. I mean, there's too many. There's
not everybody, but I'll say this. I think we're heading down the road of what Chip Kelly was talking about. I think I like the idea of college football being independent of the other sports to keep the conferences together, so these schools don't have to be going cross country. And we're going to get to a point where it's two conferences. When it expands to 12-team playoffs, you know how many teams from the SEC and the Big Ten are going to be in there.
I guess while we're talking about this, you see, it looks to me like Oregon State, Washington State is looking to keep that Pac-12 logo, the brand, I should say, and rebuild it somehow. They can't do it next year, right? They've made plans to play football, kind of like Notre Dame does with the ACC. They've got an agreement with the Mountain West to play, I think, 6 games. They've got each other. They've got their rivalry games with Oregon and Washington, respectively. Plus, they'll fill in a couple other games. The other schools, the other sports, rather, including basketball, have got an agreement with the WAC now. So you think they're going to be able to rebuild this Pac-12 conference? I mean, and will it matter? Will they be a power?
It's going to be tough. They can do it, but they might be behind at times. Again, it comes down to leadership.
Yeah.
If the leadership had just waited, if they weren't behind in the times, if they negotiated better, the Pac-12 does not go away.
We'll get into that.
And it's a shame that it is, because it was the best conference this year.
Yeah, college football needs regulation, right? We've known that for a while. There is no policing organization, it seems. The NCAA doesn't. It takes them forever to do anything, or they jump to conclusions and move too fast. So
look, that's why Chip Kelly said there needs to be a commissioner, a true commissioner. You want to get a committee together with some of the best people involved, like Greg Sankey, the guy from the Big Ten, like all those guys. I'm all for it. But there's got to be rules, there's got to be regulations, and you want to talk about that stuff, like he talks about the money and all that stuff. Now we're talking in the unions, revenue share, like all this stuff. Now we're just going to make college football pros. No. Like, we know what it is. Let's fix the problem, and they got to get it right. I think they should be independent of the other sports. Why should college football determine what the other sports do in a conference? If USC wants to go play Michigan in football, go do it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean the rest of the sports have to follow.
I think it may take a while, but in the next 10 years, you're going to see that. It's going to be an independent league, and, it probably won't be 130 strong either. It'll probably be, 60 or.
Well, he said, take the top 64 Power 5 schools and the rest of them, yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, UMass and UConn. That's not happening for you.
Exactly.
Anyways, I know you had to check your watch here. I don't want to keep you any longer. You got to get in there and pump that iron. Stay healthy for the rest of us, Jim, because when we keel over, we need somebody to help us out. So Jim Biringer from FullPressHockey.com, guys. Also check out his stuff on Let's Talk Sports. Great stuff from Jim on hockey and all things in sports. So great job. Anything else you want to add, Jim, before I wish you Merry Christmas?
That's it. We touched it all. Touched all the bases. Guys, enjoy the World Juniors coming up Tuesday. So it should be a good tournament. And guys, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everybody.
Now we'll talk next week about the games that really matter next weekend in college football. How about that?
Absolutely. The games that really matter.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Jim. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy your holiday.
You too. Have a good one.
You and your family. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
The great Jim Biringer from Let's Talk Sports and, more importantly, FullPressHockey.com. I meant to ask Jim. I should have. He got a spot on Sirius Radio the other day. So Jim is moving into a whole different stratosphere from the rest of us, ham and eggers out here. So congratulations to him. He does some great stuff. So let me look at a couple of comments we might have missed. Anthony, the whole Harbaugh thing, I mean, I love that. And Anthony, I love it that you bring that stuff to my attention because I hadn't seen that. If it happens in a couple hours, because I'm on with Mac and Jack before, so it's happened in the last couple hours, I'm not likely to have seen it. But to put a clause in that guy's not going to take it doesn't say forever. It says 2024. What's the point? I signed a contract in January. I'm not going to be entertaining head coaching jobs a week later. And by the way, he's not getting $12 million in the NFL. Unless you're Bill Belichick, you're not getting that kind of money. Plus, I think he wants to get out. As Jim said, they are after Jim Harbaugh. They are after Jim Harbaugh, and it's so clear. They put this story out, and even the media outlets, they put this story out with a title to the story that made it seem like it was about the recent allegations. So, and I'm sorry, that's the way a lot of people read your news. They read a headline and go, oh, make an assumption. Don't read the article. It's about the recruiting violations from 4 years ago, 3 years ago, anyway, and ridiculous nonsense where the crime wouldn't have been worth any kind of suspension, but he tried to cover it up. So anyway, I think he's going to the NFL. Let's get back, guys. We're back. We'll go back to talk about whatever you want. Let me see what we've missed here. I'm going to talk about this too. What is Antonio Pierce's record? Antonio Pierce hasn't been even an assistant coach that long, by the way. This isn't a Biasachi situation where they let their special teams go. Long time NFL coach. They let him go after taking them to the playoffs. Pierce isn't taking them to the playoffs. Now, if he wins out, maybe they got a shot. I'm not even sure where they stand. I don't think they've got any shot. And this is why I don't like interim coaches, by the way, because they either succeed, and now you're under pressure, as Jim said, or Rick said, they'll be crucified if they let them go, when there may be a better option out there. I'm not saying Jim Harbaugh's a better option, but there might be better options out there. And you're going to let a 6 or 7 game window dictate how you should go forward forever. I don't like interim coaches just because of this factor that could happen. Because a lot of them don't work out when they keep the guy. Now, some do. Worked out for Michigan with Fisher years ago when they won a national championship. He won as an interim coach, and they had a really good program for years after that. But I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know that there are plenty of situations where interim coaches have come in and the team is really, because you get a boost. Just you got a guy out of the room you don't like most of the time, especially in this case. So I'm not a big fan of that. I'm really not. And guys, go wherever you want. We'll talk NFL, Major League Baseball. Drew, you and I haven't caught up a lot of Major League Baseball, so we can talk about Ohtani. We can talk about Yamamoto. We can talk about the Yankees and Mets missing out on them. We can talk about my comment about the Mets, not the Mets fans not having the right to be as up in arms as they are about their lack of World Series the last few years. We talked about that. It took the NCAA forever to bring out a new football game. I hope next summer it comes out. What are we talking about? Are you talking about Xbox or PlayStation or something? I'm not sure what we're talking about. Anthony, so help me out there. Something I was just going to mention too about NCAA regulation. A lot of talk too from Charlie. No, not Charlie. I'm trying to think of the new NCAA commissioner's name. The ex-governor of Massachusetts, who has put forth a plan that there will be pay for all players, $30,000 a year. Then there would be caps and restrictions on NIL money, and the schools would be allowed to handle which they do now, by the way. Anybody who thinks the schools aren't in charge of where this NIL money's coming from and going to is not paying attention. Love to find a way. Nashville? Not sure what we got there, CA. Doesn't the Lions OC want $15 million a year? Sorry, I don't know his name. I think it's Brown. If I'm thinking the same guy, he is high on the list for Carolina. If I'm thinking about the same guy, he's not getting $15 million a year. Rookie head coach. And I do believe he was Carolina wanted to hire him last year, and he did not think he was ready. So he said no to the job then. And I think Carolina is going to go back after him now, if that's who we're talking about. No rookie head coach is getting $15 million a year. Guys, Andy Reid's not making $15 million a year. Andy Reid's not making $10 million a year. Let me find something out here. Who are the most successful coaches in the league today? I mean, again, I'm going to include, trying to find a list here. Here we go. Please, here we go. Let's see if I can get in here. Highest paid coaches in the NFL. Oh, this is high paid coaches. I want NFL. I don't want Bill Belichick is getting 25. Reportedly, we don't know. It's top secret. $25 million a year. Sean Payton, $18 million. Pete Carroll, $15 million. Sean McVay, I'm surprised at $15 million for him. $14 million. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Mike Tomlin, 12. John Harbaugh, 12. These are the most accomplished guys in the sport. So the OC's not getting $15 million a year. Maybe I'm wrong about Harbaugh getting 12 and a half in the NFL. I mean, other than Bell, and by the way, Andy Reid, who's won 2 Super Bowls in the last couple of years, 3-4 years, is not even on this list. Wish I could have found NFL head coaches. I want to see them all because I want to get a scale. Who are the highest paid coaches? Here we go. Let's try this. Now, see, this is where you get. So, again, Belichick's now down to $20 million in this. Pete Carroll's down to 10. McVay's down to 14. Tomlin, 12. Andy Reid, $12 million. And you go all the way down. Well, guys are making more than I thought, man. If these numbers are accurate. We got the top 10, and the lowest there is Doug Peterson at 8.5. Mike Vrabel's getting 9.5. Josh McDaniels got 10. So there's a good example of an OC who had previous head coaching experience and not very good, getting 10 million. So there's more money here than I thought. My bad. Flores got fired for winning. Well, he was yes, because the coach wanted to tank. I mean, overall, I think he was 24 and 25, or he's under 500 for his career. He's a good coach, Flores. And I do think that He's going to get some interviews. Now it's a matter of whether his lawsuit against the NFL, which is still pending, is going to hinder him. I don't think it should. I don't think he's wrong necessarily. I don't think it's personally, I don't think this was a race discrimination issue that he didn't get a job, right? I don't think that. I think the NFL may hold it against him because of Stephen Ross wanting to lose. And he said, I'm not throwing games. I got a problem with anybody throwing games. My team stinks. And a lot of fans are going to get root for their teams to lose. I'm never going to do that. And if I'm a coach, I don't want to lose games on purpose. You screw up these draft picks more often than not. Ben Johnson. Thank you, Anthony. I'm pretty sure you're going to see Ben Johnson coaching the Carolina Panthers next year, by all reports. Again, front runner last year. Rumors are he was offered the job, and he said, I'm not ready, which is very shocking, but maybe a smart thing for somebody to say. And now he feels he is ready, and we'll see. $15 million is probably a lot, though, Alex. I mean, your coach, your coach is getting $10 million. You think a guy, an offensive coordinator with no track record, ought to be getting paid $5 million more a year than Kyle Shanahan? I don't care what the Mad New Yorker says. Kyle Shanahan is one of the best coaches in the NFL today. You got to win some hardware. I know, never say never. I do that a lot, right? I challenge the universe a lot, and I lose. I think the universe might be undefeated against me. I'm pretty sure. No, well, this one, the next one. That's why you can't trust some of these reports, right, Al? I don't know what report you can tell me what you find he's making. The last thing I found was $10 million. I'm shocked. Any of these guys are in double figures, really, except for Belichick. Because these are not the numbers that I saw the last time I looked for this. So, again, this could be just the reports. This is from NBC Sports Boston, by the way, that has him at $10 million, Alec. Who just mentioned love will find a way? By yes. Who just mentioned that? Love will find a way. Well, yes. Kudos. My favorite band. Yes, we found out some interesting news today. We got Drew's favorite band. Yes. And some of you guys will be like, what? Who? We're too old. Crazy how Kyle Shanahan getting $10 million. Again, these numbers are a lot higher than the numbers and I haven't looked this up in a while. But these numbers are much higher than I thought they were. Fantasy Football Sunday Fun Day will be a classic favorite in the Yoo-Hoo chat. Sunday Fun Day. Check the chat out if you're in the league for CA's extra postings. Millions here, millions there. The sports world's gone nuts. Well, we pay for it. As long as we keep watching, buying the product. And by the way, that's all about to change too. And maybe people won't watch. Kenny, if I'm not mistaken, you're on, regular cable. I'm not sure. Satellite, maybe it's satellite with DirecTV. I don't remember what your situation was, but we're all going to start paying more. There's a game. I think there's a game this weekend, if I'm not mistaken, that is 100% on Peacock. Or maybe it was last weekend. I think it's this weekend. And I believe the paid version of Peacock. There's a playoff game, Wild Card Weekend, that is available only on Peacock. Get ready, guys, because this is where we're going. You're going to pay a la carte for this stuff. And if you want to watch the best games, and there's only about one good game a week in the NFL because the place stinks so badly, you're going to pay for it. You're paying for it now. I'm paying a fee to ESPN, I'm paying a fee for so again, whether it's through Spectrum or whatever, you're paying fees for every game you watch. Unless you're watching on a digital antenna and not paying any streaming or cable fees, you're paying the freight for a lot of this stuff. And you're going to pay more because there's going to be more games on Prime. I think right now, I'm not positive, somebody can tell me, that you can watch the NFL games on Thursday night without paying for the Prime subscription. I do pay for it. And it's still worth it, by the way. Just shipping fees alone is worth the money I pay for Amazon. And obviously and plus there's a lot of other good programming on there if you haven't watched it. But you're going to pay more. I expect my fees to go up. You're going to see more games on Peacock for NBC. You're going to see more games on Paramount Plus for CBS. And so on and so forth. And the money will continue to rule the day until these leagues totally destroy themselves. The Mad New Yorker had the Seahawks winning that division at the start of the season. He's crazy. Well, Alec, if you remember, I was on the Let's Talk Sports, this one, and thumbs up, DDH, but maybe I didn't give it to you to start. I would have done it at the bottom. When Dan Harris was still with us on Let's Talk Sports and doing the pre-season roundup, and I was invited on one of the roundtable shows, I picked the Seahawks to be in the Super Bowl. I picked the Jets and the Seahawks, believe it or not. Now, my other picks are also pretty good. Other than the Patriots, the Seahawks, and the Jets. And I did have the Seahawks winning that division as well. So I'm down, relegated to the depths of whatever with the Mad New Yorker. And Kyle only just signed a new contract 2 seasons ago. By the way, Kyle Shanahan's a great coach. Kyle Shanahan had a quarterback last year in the NFC Championship game. He might have won a Super Bowl. Might have, if. Right? It's all big things, right? One little thing changes everything. They went in there and destroyed the Eagles a few weeks ago. On the road. I love the Eagles that night. How do you not like the Eagles getting points at home? 49ers are the best team in football. When healthy, best team in football. By far. In my mind, Eagles got something going on internally. There's a cancer there somewhere that is eating that team alive from the inside. There's a lot of teams. I mean, there's so many prima donnas in this league. And now Pickens is a hero because he played great yesterday. But last week, we all hate him because he wouldn't make a block. Who says I wouldn't make a block because I was afraid about getting injured? Does it say in your contract you don't need to block? Oh. Now I understand why Deion Sanders is staying in the NCAA. You have players making more than the coach, the captain of the ship. That's the way it is in every sport, though, Anthony, when it comes to professional sports. Look at baseball. Look at baseball. If I'm not mistaken, Drew, you can help me out here. Craig Counsell just became the highest paid manager in Major League Baseball. It's $7.5 million a year. Even mid-level stars make much more than that. Mid-level players. And then you got guys making $70 million. It's hard to be. How do you control these guys? This got to be very hard in the pecking order. You know, when you're making, not a third, not even a quarter of what your best players are making. Kenny gets to watch 2 games on Sunday, and I will not pay for it. So you got to be on a digital antenna, because if you have, what are you watching it on, Kenny? If you're on a digital antenna, which I have and I do use from time to time, but Again, I still have all these streaming services, so I'm paying for it. If you're watching on anything other than antenna, you're paying for it, unless you're stealing somebody's cable. There's no place else to watch live sports. So tell me, I'd like to know where you're paying, or I'm sorry, where you are watching it. The big strategy with this, the big problem with the strategy is the younger generation will not be watching sports. Well, that's entirely possible, Kenny, because a lot of the younger generation that I know closely, they don't watch religiously. They don't watch the way I watch. I have to see my team on Sunday. I don't care if I'm at a wedding, at a baptism, at whatever. I'm going to find a way to watch the game on my phone or whatever. And I don't care who likes it. I really don't. But it's not must-see TV for a lot of younger people. But they also all tailor the games to attract the younger audience. Baseball rule changes, who do you think they're made for? Younger people. Score more runs. Football, all the rules are to enhance the offense. You know why? Because they don't want to watch games like the Rams and Patriots were in the Super Bowl a few years ago. I think that was an exciting game. The game hung on every single play. Every play. Was it exciting and well played? No. But the game, it was a close, low-scoring game. What's wrong with that? Now and again. Nope. We got to have shootouts like the Eagles and Patriots the year before that. Or the year after that, I should say. So they're catering to people who aren't even really that invested in the game. It's not all of them. But they're not. And so it's a great point that I think it was Kenny made. Was it Kenny or was it who said that? Kenny. Another bright point by a Perth grad. Most primetime games have been horrible this season. Well, the Thursday night games have been awful, as a rule, for sure. And they always get the short end. Prime's paying a boatload of money to get crap. And those can't be flexed. Sunday night games, probably the same. I mean, yeah, again, but that's indicative of how the games have been most of the year, Anthony, or CA. Just a lot of bad football, man. You can pick out a couple good games. Let me look at the games this week. I mean, we do this every week, and oh my God, it gets worse and worse and worse. Let me look at the schedule real quick. Let's just look at the games. I'll give you my picks while I'm doing it. Now we get some more comments. We'll wait. Let me just look at the games real quick. Patriots and Broncos. That's tonight at 8 o'clock. They didn't flex that game because it's Christmas Eve. Might as well put a crappy game in. Well, there'll be nobody watching. I'll be watching. Colts and Falcons. Titans and a bunch of 7-7, 5-8, 5-9. Seahawks and Titans. I like the Seahawks say again. Sorry, Seahawk fans. Lions and Vikings. That's the best game I've come up with so far. Commanders and Jets. Packers and Panthers. Browns and Texans. I'll give you that one. There's two. Buccaneers and Jaguars. Well, the Buccaneers are alive at 7-7. You got a bunch of teams in the NFC below 500 still alive for the playoffs with 3 weeks to go. That's what the NFL wants. Bears and Cardinals. Cowboys and Dolphins. Theoretically, a really good game at 4:25 today. The other games this week, Saints and Rams, blah. Bengals and Steelers had the makings of a good game. It was not. Chargers and Bills, not well played game. And then the games tomorrow, Chiefs and Raiders, some excitement. It's a rivalry game, so whatever. Eagles and Giants. Anybody excited about that game on Christmas Day? Ravens and 49ers, a really good game tomorrow night. In theory, whether the games will be any good, we'll see. The best thing was the NFL putting games on Nickelodeon. Smart. What is that? I don't even know what that is, by the way. But they don't just show the games, do they, Anthony? Isn't there some kind of tricked up thing that they do? I've not checked it out because I'm usually out. Alex Simpson, Carlos is just a guy who runs his mouth with no knowledge of sports except maybe soccer. Well, I just put myself in the same category because I made the same pick he made, which will happen sometimes. And Carlos has some knowledge. Again, he just doesn't know how to apply it. He thinks sports are all about numbers. You know, what you pay to go to games. Dish, you pay for that. I will not pay for anything else. But Kenny, what you don't understand is you're paying for the games. You think you're getting those included in the price you pay Dish. They're not free. That's my point. If you're paying a streaming service or a satellite service, I don't know if this shit even has a streaming service yet, but they will. You're paying. Anybody who's paying, unless you have an antenna on your house against your wall, you're paying for the games because Dish has to pay CBS, NBC, ESPN. He has to pay them fees to have them on their lineup. Why do you think we lost? I lost ESPN for a month this year, or a few weeks anyway. Maybe it was a month. I don't know. With Spectrum streaming, because they were in a dispute with Disney because of fees. So people will have to pay. You pay again. You pay, and those fees go up when they have the NFL. If they have the NFL like CBS and Fox, they have to pay more than if they didn't have NFL football. They charge Dish more money. So again, the fees are hidden, but you're paying for the football games, Kenny, whether you believe it or not. Now, again, what I was talking about before, and it may be what you're alluding to, when they go to Amazon, they're already on Amazon, but I paid for Amazon Prime anyway. So to me, it's just included in something I'm already paying for. I didn't pay for it to get the football. I pay for ESPN Plus because college football is important to me, but I get a lot of other great programming there, by the way, not just games. So I was talking about fees on top of the fees you already pay. Because again, I'll say one more time, unless you got an antenna, you're paying for the games. It's included, but you're paying. My wife was often lecturing me on the difference between free and included, right? I bought a new suit this past weekend, right? And they gave me a shirt and tie because there was a deal to go with it. And I didn't say free. I said included. I don't know if this is lucky, but in the UK, I pay 160 pounds, which I'm not sure what that's equivalent to here. I pay to watch all NFL games in NFL Network. So there's some variation of the NFL ticket you've got. And here, I believe it's now $480 since YouTube got it this year. I think it's $480. It's in the 400s. So I don't know what the pounds equate to in dollars, Alec. I don't watch it. My stepson had gotten the NFL ticket and gave us access to it, and I thank him for that, but I don't use it ever. I've never turned it on because I watch the Patriot games if they're out with my friends, unless they're on at night and I don't need it. I have my own outlet for the games that are on at night, and I watch the NFL Red Zone when I'm not watching my team. So never popular with the wife watching at a wedding, saying for a friend. Well, I know, but I find a way to sneak it. Believe me, I find a way. I can tell you, I have a wedding in January on a Saturday, and if the Patriots had been playing that day, I would have spent far more time watching the game than I would have been participating in the wedding. Just saying. That's who I am. People know who I am. They can not like it, but you know what you signed up for. I've really never been anybody but me. Great point, CA, on the Nickelodeon. I still haven't watched it. Is it regular programming? Is it the regular game that I watch? Got a split, Drew, catching up on everything we need to do because of being away on a trip. Happy holidays to you, Drew, and yours. Got to have you over to the new place for a little holiday cocktail at some point. We got a busy day today, too. Once I get done here, I'll be out on a run for a couple of things. And tomorrow we get a lot of people coming. So, Commanders versus Jets. What a tasty game. You know, it's funny. Sarcasm is the same whatever country you're from, Alec. By the way, you won't be able to get away from that game here in New York, by the way. I doubt very much that game is not. If you're watching on Dish TV or whatnot, you're probably stuck watching that game. And Kenny, you only get 3 games, by the way. But you probably don't. Unless Dish still doesn't have Fox, then you're only going to get 2, right? If they have the doubleheader. It's the same game with some funny. That's I guess what I knew there was some kind of I don't know how to say that word. Cartoons. Enemy? I have no idea how to say that. Where's Drew? Drew, need you to get to work on your updates for Pick'em. I don't. Just kidding. Anthony was mad when I had Dish great service until a rainstorm outside. Listen, I had Dish for, I don't know, a while. Actually, not as long. I had it for maybe a year, now that I think about it. Maybe 2 years, because I signed a contract, and I was mad. Because when I switched out from DirecTV, this is 10 years ago, they didn't have Yes Network. They told me, oh, we'll have it. We're in contract negotiation with them. We'll have it before baseball season starts. So I said, great, sign me up. I signed a 2-year contract. They don't get Yes. I say, come and get your crap and get it out of my house. Oh, you have a contract. You'll have to pay X amount to get out of it. And I'm like, but you breached the contract by not giving me the only thing I really wanted. Not the only thing, but an important thing to me. Listen, I have Spectrum and not YouTube TV for a reason. They don't have the Yes Network. And that's the case with Sling. That's the case with a bunch of other ones that I could be on. Maybe actually, I get a pretty good deal of Spectrum right now, but they lie and they cheat. We'll do so after Christmas. Rick, glad you look forward to them. I do too. Sure, I'm only kidding. I like reading the you do a great job with the recaps, and it's always more fun when you're at the bottom. Great point, Anthony. What did Anthony say? Oh, I missed this. Oh, I did say that. Yeah. That's why I got away from satellite TV. Was winter, heavy rainstorms can always be a problem depending on what satellite you're bouncing off of. You could lose signal on Dish and not lose it on DirecTV. But that's why I went to streaming, which is so much better. As long as you have a good internet connection, and you don't lose your internet, you're going to have TV. The streaming is so much better. No equipment. You're not paying monthly fees for equipment and whatnot. That's why what do they call it? Oh gosh, I can't think what they call it now. There's a saying for it. Oh, we already got that. Keith B's bathroom screaming touchdown. That's me, Anthony. I think you guys can see I'm watching me all these years on this show now and other shows. I'm just me. Some people like me a lot. Some people don't like me. People who like me don't always like me. And it is what it is. And, my wife knew what she was getting into when she married me. I still throw the tantrum when people schedule birthday parties and stuff on Sundays. You don't want me, because that's the day I get together with my guys. I don't see them. Football season is my time to see my guys. Not going up today because it's Christmas Eve, and actually, if Mark's going out, I'd probably go. Next week I'll be there. New Year's Eve, we're going out the first night of Funny here at the Co's Music Hall, but I'm going up for football. Don't schedule birthday parties on a Sunday. Or I'm going to be there watching a game on my phone because, people don't care about football the way I do at these parties. I'm sorry, but actually I'm not even apologizing. It's just who I am. My wife knew who I was when she married me, and she still did it. No Fox still. Man, what's that, a year and a half? Feels like it was a year when I moved and switched off of DirecTV and went to Spectrum. That's crazy. You do get, Kenny, that you are paying for it, though, right? I know you're not paying extra. You don't have extra services to get sports. I do. Right now, the only thing I pay extra for sports is ESPN Plus, which I get for $10.99 a month, and it's bundled with Disney, I think. So it's really not a bad deal because it's not just the sports. I get a lot of great programming. There's so much great programming on ESPN. Their original. If you like sports documentaries, man, you got to have ESPN Plus to watch 30 for 30s, and I watch the old ones over and over again. Disney's got great stuff, depending on what you're into. If you're a Star Wars guy like me, there's a lot of great Star Wars shows. All the Marvel stuff is there. I'm a geek, man. I love that stuff. All sports will be, yes, I agree. All sports will be PPV subscriptions. It's the best way to make money for them. Not necessarily, Alec. I get what you're saying. We're going to pay a lot more when it goes to pay-per-view subscriptions. That's easier for me to say than PPV, apparently. But the thing you have to remember, at least here in the States, the same exact thing I just said to Kenny. You're paying for the programming now because it's included in the rights fees they have to pay to Fox and CBS and ESPN and whoever, NFL Network and whoever else is putting sports out there. And we're just talking about games, right? So it's all included. But the people who aren't watching those games are also paying the same fees as me or Kenny or whoever's watching these games. If you didn't watch any sports, you're paying a boatload more for television subscriptions than you would if there were no sports included. So in theory, they risk money for, again, tens of millions of people who do not care about sports. Hard to believe, but it's true. So the problem is that the pay-per-view subscriptions will probably be astronomical. Look at the ticket, $480. It was just $199 just a couple years ago, I think. Well, maybe it's more than that. Or more years ago than that, because I did have it for a while. But yeah, I get that is the direction we're going. Whether they can make as much money as they make now, to me, depends on what they charge. And if they don't charge enough, they're not going to make as much. So you and I are going to pay a lot more. It's good for the guy who doesn't want to watch sports because theoretically he won't pay as much for his television rights. I sat right in the seat at a wedding, but turned down the volume as occurred. I won't turn the volume on. I don't have the closed caption on, but I don't turn the volume on. I would not do that. If it's a Patriot game, sometimes I have my earbud stuck in here. Looks like an hearing aid. Alec, have a great Christmas yourself, buddy. Off to church and pray. Say a prayer for me. A prayer for me, would you? Obviously, I need it. I'm watching TV at weddings. Listen. I know the handbasket is waiting for me. I know it's going to start to get hot as I approach my final destination. So if you can say a little prayer for me, I'd appreciate it. And I appreciate you, Alec. Hope you're here next week. And if I don't see you next week. Have a happy New Year and a Merry Christmas, definitely. Because I appreciate all of you guys and sticking with me through these last, Jesus, what is it, almost 4? Is it 4 years now? I don't even know. But have a great, great Christmas to you and yours, Alec. Great to have you with us today. Anthony Price, I understand Amazon Prime, but I have no reason for Peacock. Well, Peacock's got some. Well, actually, there's going to be more and more programming on Peacock too. I mean, it's just the way we're going. They're all going to have their individual apps. If I were to get Peacock, Notre Dame, by the way, also is going that way. They have more and more games on Peacock. And there's a free version and a paid version. You're going to get more with the paid version. I watch some old shows and stuff, but I can find most of them elsewhere besides Peacock. So, but here's the thing. You will have a reason for Peacock if that's where all of NBC's playoff games end up in the future, or somebody else. Again, these football contracts will come up for negotiation again in a couple of years. And when that happens, by the time these contracts come up again, you're going to have Peacock more involved, NBC, which is Peacock, right? More involved in professional sports and NFL. Let's just stick with the NFL, sports in general. You're going to have Apple, who's already been bidding on these packages. You're going to have YouTube, who's already been bidding on these packages. Paramount Plus, which is CBS. Right now you can watch them on Paramount, but I guarantee you, if Peacock starts airing, NBC starts moving their programming to the subscription-based Peacock, then CBS will do the same thing with their programming, their sports programming, and put it on Paramount Plus, which, again, is a great service. I pay for it, but I get a lot more than just football out of it. I'm better with the Sunday ticket. I'm better off with a Sunday ticket to watch the Vikings at home to avoid irritating fans of other teams. I love Buffalo fans, as you. Linda Faye, if you're listening this morning, he's talking about you. Oh God, yes, I have to tell you. Yes, you have to put. Here's the thing. When the Patriots were good, I loved being out rooting for them and everybody rooting against me. I loved it. It's not as much fun when you're bad. Be quite honest with you. But Buffalo fans are rough. Pittsburgh fans are rough. Look at Patriot fans. I'm insufferable when we're winning. I'm a better loser than I am a winner. I'm more gracious winner than I am a loser. Gracious loser than I'm a winner. If you've seen my posts when we've lost Super Bowls, heartbreaking games, I will send out kudos to the teams that beat us. I don't do it now because it's expected. Because I'm not a poor sport, right? I don't look back at the Giants. The 2 Super Bowls and say, we got beat because of bad calls. We got beat because of this. We got beat because of that. No, we got beat that day because they were a better football team than us. That's all. Now, when I win, Merry Christmas to you, Kenny, and your family. Say hi to your lovely wife. And I don't know if you have kids in town or what's going on, but I hope you have a great Christmas up there on the mountain. And what are you saying here? Again, Merry Christmas. I need to clean Mr. My Solar and bring in some wood for a couple of days. And then it's time to unlock my mind. And I think we know what that's code for. Why do I still have Jim Biringer up here? Love Jim. By the way, check out Jim's stuff on, if you're a hockey fan, you got to have fullpresshockey.com. Free. Great stuff there. His articles are awesome. His power rankings are right on the button, and watch his stuff on Let's Talk Sports as well. What else we got going on here? So we've talked about a lot of stuff. You guys have been awesome again. What haven't we talked about? I can do my picks. Belichick and Tomlin, a lot of rumors. I talked about this on I was going to talk about the $1 billion. Kenny's leaving, but I'm not saying Yamamoto and Ohtani aren't worth $1 billion if that's what guys want to pay him. But $1 billion, that to me, that's a huge gamble if I'm the Dodgers, right? I'm paying a guy from Japan $30 million a year who has no track record here. Most of them do well. And a guy who, while he's been a great player here, still only has 38 wins as a pitcher and 660 hits and doesn't play a position. So if he doesn't pitch again, man, that's a lot of money to pay a DH. Just saying, it's not a great business decision. I didn't get a chance to talk about that. We didn't get a chance to talk about the new rules, baseball, tweaks to the new rules. Basically, the pitch clock has gone down 2 seconds, and they've changed some of the parameters of when it starts and when it stops and timeouts and such. And they've widened the first base lane that a runner can run in, which I think makes perfect sense. And it's almost impossible not to run in fair territory when you run to first base at this point. So I think that's actually a good move. Back to the NFL, and we didn't talk much about Tomlin. A lot of rumors. Great game last night. Mason Rudolph played a great game. Maybe Mason Rudolph should have been playing this whole time because the other two guys, well, Mason Rudolph's not a great player. Don't get me wrong. He played mistake-free football last night, and that's what the Steelers need. They got a great defense. They didn't run the ball great again last night, but Rudolph made the plays he needed to make. And if you just want a guy to manage the games and not make mistakes, I want Rudolph and not who's a seasoned veteran and not Trubisky or Pickett. But Tomlin's a lot of talk about Tomlin. I do not think Tomlin gets fired. The Steelers have a record like nobody else, especially in recent years, or 54 years can be recent. 3 coaches in 54 years, guys. Nobody does that. Not in today's world of the NFL or sports in general. I don't think they fired Tomlin. I do think there's a possibility if he wants to leave, they'll facilitate that and work out a deal with the Redskins, sorry, the team formerly known as the Redskins, or the Panthers. Because reports are he's amenable maybe to either situation. As it gets him closer to his home, I think he's got a daughter going to college in that area. I think in Virginia. But again, I don't think this is a situation where he gets fired. The Belichick situation is much different now, and we can play off of these topics or any others, guys. Your topics are my topics, so bring them up. MLB, college football, Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, don't care. I'll talk about anything you want to talk about. I'll talk about lacrosse if you want, because Tyler Buckner, I meant to bring up what Kenny was here, is going back to Notre Dame, but not to play football, to play lacrosse. Or not Tyler. Is his first name Buckner? Not sure. Or last name? His last name Buckner. Is his first name Tyler? Don't remember. Bill Belichick, different story. You read all the reports you want. We don't know. Yesterday's report or Friday's report was that now Belichick does not want to leave. And those could be to put more pressure on Kraft, who, by reports, has decided he doesn't want him back. Kraft holds all the cards because Belichick's under contract for next year. He can't just up and leave and go to another team, but that's not what he wants. Apparently, he wants to stay and see this through. Question's going to become now whether, and this could become a messy divorce. If Kraft doesn't want him and fires him, he could trade him to another team, but Belichick's got to show up. He can retire and not coach anywhere, but he can't just walk away unless Kraft fires him. So I don't know what's going to happen here. I've wavered on this, and I'm not happy about Belichick and what's gone on, especially the last 2 years. Last year, putting Mac Jones, I think he singularly ruined Mac Jones with the situation he put him in last year in his second year. After a really good rookie year, by the way, taking a team to the playoffs, beating some really good teams during the regular season, playing good football, especially as the season went on, made the Pro Bowl for whatever that's worth today. But in a pivotal second year, he has a guy known for defense, another guy known for special teams, coaching the offense and calling the plays and developing a quarterback. Horrible move, and Bill's singularly responsible for that. Matt Patricia didn't ask for the job. He's vilified now in New England. So that really soured me on Belichick, that decision last year. This year, look at the talent level's terrible. Belichick, the GM, should be fired, not Belichick, the coach. I really come around that I want Bill to come back and give this one more run, but I want somebody to come in and help rebuild this roster. Defense is not that far away. Need some more athletes, but they compete, man. They compete every week. But they need help on offense. They need help on the offensive line and the wide receiver position. So I'd like to see him come back. I'd really like, and you guys can tell me I'm nuts, if the Bears are in fact going to move on from Josh Fields, I'd like to find a way to get Josh Fields without trading that third pick in the draft. Let's just say we get the third pick. Because I want to find a way to get Josh Fields and Marvin Harrison on the same field together. That's what I want. And Bill Belichick coaching that team. And whether Bill O'Brien's the offensive coordinator, I don't know yet. So what do we got? Any of those topics. Joe Ohtani gifted Joe Kelly's wife, Ashley, a brand new Porsche as a thanks for number 17. That's a pretty expensive price to pay, especially when you're only making $2 million a year. That's the other side of Ohtani's contract. And that's a great point, Anthony. How does a team get away with paying a guy $70 million a year and deferring $68 million of it for 10 years? Because you're circumventing the salary cap. You're giving yourself an advantage other teams wouldn't have. I don't believe that this will be able to be done going forward. I got to believe Major League Baseball is going to look at this and say, you're trying to avoid paying a luxury tax by giving this guy, the best description I saw was by, I think, several of you guys, a Bobby Bonilla contract, but I won't pay him for as many years. And it's going to pay him a whole lot more money than Bobby Bonilla got. But I feel like it's circumventing the rules. Rick, with a Merry Christmas to Kenny. You're the best, have and always remain true to yourself. Agreed. Everybody should stay true to themselves. I agree. Listen, there's a lot of stuff I don't agree with you guys. There's a lot of stuff I say you don't agree with. We go battle back and forth. At the end of the day, we're all still friends because this is what it should be. You should be able to have frank, open discussions with people and not hate them at the end of the day because they don't believe what you believe. So would you keep Mason starting over Pickett? For now, yeah, absolutely. The Steelers want to make a playoff run here. I would start Randolph. I would start Rudolph the rest of the season. Again, he's a veteran. He knows this offense. He's going to be less likely to make a mistake in a big spot, and he'll throw the ball away. He's not going to turn it over. If I want, and again, Pittsburgh, I believe, controls their own fate to get in the playoffs, and I would take the guy who's not going to make mistakes. Their defense keeps them in games. You win it with your special teams and kicking field goals and getting a couple of touchdowns here, trying to get that running game going with Najee Harris, and telling your wide receivers to block once in a while. Don't care whether you think you might get hurt or not. Billy sticking up for Bill Belichick. Thank you. He is being totally disrespected. And listen, again, this is a situation where I think I can have it both ways. I have vilified Bill Belichick for a lot of the Patriots' problems right now. That does not mean I want to see him unceremoniously fired or traded to another team, which is really where Kraft wants to go with this by all accounts. And we don't really know. My gut's starting to tell me maybe he comes back for another run. And part of it might be if Gerard Mayo is really the guy that Kraft wants, whether he thinks he can placate him for another year of not interviewing for head coaching jobs. But Belichick is being disrespected here. I do think I can criticize him. He's not above criticism. But I think he's earned the right to kind of walk away when he wants. And I know Kraft wants to win, and he wants to win now. And so do I, by the way, as a fan. Part of it is, it's hard for me to let go of everything we had. And a big part of it left with Brady. And when Belichick is gone, then all the ties are gone, except for the Krafts. But the guys on the field, they're all gone. And please, nobody's going to tell me, I don't care what his record is without Tom Brady. I really don't, because there's a lot of other factors. This team would not have won 6 Super Bowls with another coach besides Bill Belichick. Whether Tom Brady was here or not, love Tom Brady. No disrespect to Tom Brady. They might have won 2. They might have won 3. They would have won 6. And I don't think Belichick wins 6 without Tom Brady either. So, just saying. But thank you, Billy, for that. Isn't that what you just said? So, is he being totally disrespected, or is he being disrespected? Thank you, Billy. Bill Pulver, pool time shortly, my friend. Take your pants off. Well, careful. Maybe I shouldn't have said it exactly that way. I hope you're enjoying that nice weather in Florida, Billy. I love these shows, guys. I am so relaxed and have so much fun on Sunday mornings. I really do. I mean, I get prepared. I want to be able to talk, but I've talked about so much stuff when we get here, and you guys carry this show. And I'm so grateful for that. You have no idea. What didn't I already say that? How did I get all the way back down here? I would. How did I get all the way down here? I must have scrolled down, eh? Pool time. There we go. We're at the point. Pittsburgh just needs one win to be over 500 again. Is Mike Tomlin a top 5 coach? It depends on what we're talking about. I don't know whether we're talking about all time. No, he's not a top 5 coach all time, obviously. Is he a top 5 coach today? Times. Let me take a quick look here. Anthony. I probably can't put Belichick in the top 5 coaches today. To me, number 1 right now is Andy Reid. I'm going to put Andy Reid in the top 5. I'm looking for some no-brainers first, right? I'm going to put... I hate that guy with the Eagles. He's probably going to be. Shanahan's in the top 5. Sorry, Carlos. Regardless how you feel about the Shanahans, Kyle Shanahan's top 5 coach. I think John McVay's a top 5 coach. Boy, I look at the rest of these guys and I go, Sean Payton's a top 5 coach. And I guess my next guy's either got to be Sirianni, who I just don't like. I don't know what it is. I don't like him. Or Mike Tomlin. Never has had a losing season. One win away, as Anthony says, to having another non-losing season. Pittsburgh is loyal to their coaches, too. 54 years, 3 head coaches. Who does that? And don't tell me Tomlin's got the benefit of the doubt because he's had some up and down years. Chuck Noll had some up and down years before they won Super Bowls and after they won Super Bowls. Bill Cowher, a great coach too. Bill Cowher, great coach. Had some up and down years. Won one Super Bowl. So, but consistently pretty good. Always with a chance. Although it hasn't felt like the Steelers have a chance the last couple. I guess I got him in the top 5. And I got Belichick out of the top 5 right now. Now, all time, no. All time, there's Belichick. There's Lombardi. There's Bill Walsh. Shula. Tom Landry. Chuck Noll. I got to go to 6. It's hard for me to kick one of those guys out. If I got to kick a guy out, it's probably Shula. How do you kick the all-time winningest coach out? That'd be my top 5 all time. Let's look at today. By the way, the NBA real quick. A couple of quick things before I do the scores. The NBA Pistons, 26 games in a row they've lost now. They tied the all-time record. This team is just as bad as it gets to be. The Knicks playing good basketball. Again, I know we don't care about the NBA a lot. I'll care a lot more about it come playoff time. Knicks playing better than they have early in the year in quite a while. So I'm happy with that. Men's basketball. What was I want to see a score here from yesterday. By the way, Florida Atlantic, last year's upstart, beat number 4 Arizona yesterday in overtime. 96-95. Great job. St. John's leads most of the game and loses to UConn. St. John's 6-4, 1-1 in the Big East. Rick Pitino will turn this team around, and I'm excited about it because I like rooting for St. John's. I'm a Marquette fan. I root for Miami a little bit because of family situations, if they're good. Miami's not known as a basketball power, right? But I'm a Marquette fan going back to Al McGuire. So I just want to throw a couple of those things out real quick. And by the way, I agree with Skip Bayless saying, what are the Lakers doing celebrating as much as they have their in-season tournament championship and then losing 4 games in a row? What a stupid concept anyway. Let's do some picks. I got a couple of comments here. Hold on. Full time. Oh, that's you. What the hell, man? How do I keep going backwards? I think we got a rich. They paid their coach $78 million, and he's still employed. Who are we talking about? Who am I talking about? Now I know who we're talking about. Are we talking about Jim? Who paid their coach $78 million to go away? Is that Texas A&M you're talking about? I'm a little confused here. Rick, help me out. Help me out while I do my picks. And I'll tell you, I guess, who I'm. Oh, here we go. Oh, yeah. Monty Williams, they paid $78 million when he got fired by Phoenix. They did a great job in Phoenix. But it just tells you, it shows you, in the NBA, you need players on every level, right? But in the NBA, you need players, and it's not a coach's league. College is a coach's league. The NBA is a player's league. And if you don't have the horses, man, you got no shot. In college, a good coach could make up for some deficiencies, not all of them, and less so today than maybe in previous years. But yeah, I mean, Monty Williams, if you don't have the horses, you don't have the talent you had in Phoenix, and it shows. How long do you keep the guy? Again, if his money's guaranteed, Rick, you're kind of stuck. You're going to fire him. 26 losses in a row, though, boy. It's hard to keep your job through that. Today, Patriots and Broncos. I'll take the Patriots to stay within 7.5. How about that? Losing by a touchdown in this game. Hunter Henry out. Maybe just play the first half because Bailey Zappi's pretty good in the first half of games. Colts and Falcons. I think I like the Colts in this game. They're getting 3 points on the road. These road dogs have hurt me a little bit, but I think I like the Colts. They got a lot more to play for than the Falcons. Falcons have pride, and maybe if they want to save their coach's job to play for, but I'm going to take the Colts here. I think that's going to be a bet. Seahawks getting 3. I'm sorry, 3. Seahawks are 3 now over the Titans. They were getting points earlier in the week. Titans have had to they have to start Tannehill today as my guy. What the hell's his name? Help me out. Oh, my God. Can you imagine how bad I am? My guy's on the bench, the starting quarterback. Will Levis. Jesus, good God. Man. Lions and Vikings, interesting game. Vikings with that last playoff spot, given 3 to Detroit. Detroit is the better team here, I think, but they haven't played really well on the road. I'm going back and forth on this game. I'm going to say Lions, Rick. Sorry. I'm going to say Lions. I think it's time for them to show they can win on the road. They want to win in the playoffs. They're probably going to have to win on the road somewhere. Commanders and Jets in a game you got to be paid to go see this game. The Jets are 3-point favorites. I'll take. And by the way, the starting quarterback will be who is the starting quarterback today? Crap. I can't remember who started the quarterback is today. Isn't that terrible? God, they just signed, I think. It'll come to me. Panthers and Packers. I'm going to take the Packers on the road in this game. Just because the Panthers are so bad. Packers still theoretically alive in a playoff chase. Had played pretty well until last week. I like the Browns over the Texans. CJ Stroud out again today. I like the Jaguars on the road against the Buccaneers. They were a road dog until a few days ago. Lions have been moving a lot this week. I like the Bears -4 over the Cardinals. I'm gonna stick with. I'm gonna do this again. Too bad Kenny's gone. I'm gonna take. I got to get going here, but I know I see another comment from Rick, and if there's anything else, I'll do this quickly. I'm going with the Cowboys again over the Dolphins +2. Raiders and Chiefs. I'll take the Chiefs -10.5. They aren't playing great. That's a rivalry, and it can be close sometimes. I think the Chiefs are going to start hitting the gas pedal here pretty soon. The Eagles -13.5 over the Jets. The Eagles lost 3 in a row. Things aren't going well right now in that locker room. And I like the 49ers -6 now over the 49ers. Rick has got Falcons coach is a regular contributor on Pat McAfee show. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Arthur Blank gave one of the worst endorsements or vote of confidence I've ever heard. He said, I'm strongly behind the coach and the coaching staff. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but we'll see how the season plays out, and then we'll make some decisions. You're either behind him or you're not. That doesn't sound like you're behind him a whole lot to me, Arthur. He's 82 years old. He wants to win. He wants to win now, and I can't blame him for wanting to be better. So, guys, what a great show again today. You guys, I love doing this show on Sunday mornings. It's my favorite show of the week. You guys have a wonderful Christmas Eve tonight with family and friends. A great Christmas day tomorrow. Again, stay safe. If you're out driving around, be careful. But I wish you and your families nothing but the best, and I appreciate all of you guys, and I'll say it again next week when we do our New Year's show. You guys are the best. You're the best audience in podcasting. I can tell you the participation you guys bring to this show and all my shows is never taken for granted, and I appreciate it all. Happy holidays to all of you. Keith Engel, TGI Sports Talks, Sunday Stream of Consciousness. Merry Christmas.